What's up, Rupert here from Grounded Permaculture Action Party. In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step breakdown how to set up a syntropic food system like the one behind me when you're starting with bare dirt and grass like this. All right, the first step, which you can hear coming through right now, what we do is we're going to get a tractor and we're just going to rotary hoe this whole strip, get the strip ready, do it a few passes, make it real nice and fluffy. So I didn't mark it out, so we kind of freestyled a little bit, but I think we'll get it now on this second pass. Really, this is the line I wanted, which maintains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters between the edges of that row and this swale system. Should have marked it out. Going for a third pass to make it real nice and fluffy. Alright, so that was step one. Prep the soil. Literally just spent 150 bucks, the equivalent of 3 man hours, which is a bargain to get that amount of work done. We're pretty much just going to extend this row. It's going to be another 25 meters, another 5 or 6 target fruit trees, more bananas, more support species. And in this version, I'm going to do something different because the hoe is 2 meters wide. And really the bed only needs to be, the tree row only needs to be 1 meter wide. So what I'm actually going to do is, instead of doing the ginger and taro in separate rows, I'm just going to consolidate them into the edge of this row. So there'll be ginger and taro on the outer edge, and that will get harvested in a year's time, and then the tree row will actually consolidate down into a 1 meter wide row. Just rotary hoed the soil, we've tilled the soil, we've done the thing that you're not supposed to do in permaculture. It's been really dry and it's raining, getting some nice moisture into that soil. Perfectly poetic, really. But with the tilling, we're just going to till once, really, because just like up behind there, we're going to establish perennial growing systems. This is just to get us back to zero for a hard reset and have everything spring back really quickly. It's not a long-term strategy where we're tilling the soil every season.
All right, a great concept to utilize is seed cups or seed bombs in your syntropic agroforestry system. The large cups in front are for tree seeds, dedicated specifically for trees that are going in the center line of the system. And the small cups at the back are for annuals or placenta ones going in the service rows. That's the explosion of growth that's going to happen in the next few months. Get as many seeds as possible into these cups, and then you can quickly lay it out in the field. It's better to be cutting things out than wish they were there.
So we're on to the next stage of prep for this road that we're about to plant out. It's been rotary hoed. Just getting a bit of a raking now, just to even it out a little bit. We're adding some wood ash and biochar, and then we're going to mulch it.
And then we're basically going to slide it, leaving a planting window here. Yeah. And even though we've sort of been avoiding walking on the beds, once the mulch is down, it's actually kind of good to stand on that. It really compresses it, and it will stop blowing away, and it'll also make the stop the weeds from coming up. Whenever I use this technique here, like I can go like half the season with no weeding, because you've got all your plants in these rows, and you only have to pull out if you do a bit of spot weeding in the rows, and in here nothing comes up, and it really stops the soil from drying out as well. All right, guys. We're going to talk about the spiral of Syntropy using a piece of extension cord. So there's many ways to envisage the way that this sort of ecological succession happens. We can use tables and be very rigid and linear, and we can look at like the early, mid and late stages of succession. But last time we did this course, we just had this idea of putting down a rope on the ground. So it's like a snail shell. So we're spiraling out in time. We're starting from the origin in the middle, where we have a lot of annual plants, and they'll come up, and some of those will live for just a few months. Some of them will live for up to a year. And we've also added a whole lot of other tree seeds in here which have varying life cycles. So they'll come up at different times. We'll manage them. And then we have some early crops. So as we're spinning out this way, we're moving on to 6 to 12 months. So we're starting to see things like the perennial leek we'll be able to harvest. Maybe have some pumpkins. There's also things like watermelons and chili in the seed cups. And as we continue to move out, we start to get to things like arrowroot, which will start to fill out and we can use. Then we have our different perennial greens, like Okinawa spinach. What else we got here? Brazilian spinach, strawberries, this kind of thing. And then somewhere after 12 to 18 months, you start to move in, you're starting to get your first bananas. And they start to move, they'll have grown up and start to produce. And the pineapples kick in, maybe depends, if you're in a really tropical climate, it can be 18 months for pineapples. But the cooler you are, the longer it takes. So it might be 2 to 3 years. That cassava should probably be back with arrowroot over here. So cassava is 12 to 18 months in a cold climate. In the tropics, you can actually harvest it much sooner. But
mulberries over there.
Mulberries, yeah. So mulberries might take 12 to 18 months before you start to get your first fruits, but it'll be their second or third year that you get a lot of fruit. So we're already starting to harvest product from our system. All the time, all these other trees are still growing. And when we start to get some tree crops come in, it's things like the Brazil cherry, things like guava, and we'll get things like our galanga will start to fill out, and we can start to harvest some spices and things like that. And then gradually over time, we've got things like the grumachama, citrus. So citrus will probably be back here a bit. Start to get citrus in 3 or 4 years, depending on possibly sooner. Yeah. What do you reckon comes next, Suvi?
Well, I'd say probably the mango.
I'm thinking mango, yeah, mango and jackfruit. So mango and jackfruit are actually really long-lived trees. You can have them living for hundreds of years, but they're actually still quite quick to produce, which is a great little thing. So, mangoes can be 3 or 4 years in the right location, and they'll actually start to flower from seed. More normal, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But they can be 3 or 4.
The jackfruit's also probably the longest lived thing.
Yeah, and yet in the right condition,
3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, freakishly in 2, but 3 to 4 in the tropics is quite normal.
So if you do this like a mango and it's growing and thriving, you got to think, well, in 10 years' time, do I actually want that mango there? Because not a lot grows under a mango tree.
Well,
yeah.
Keep them cut pretty hard.
Yeah, that's right. 'Cause I got good.
Yeah.
If you go up to Far North Queensland, they've got mango orchards there. They just hack them back.
They box them.
After they fruit. They're just basically frames that come back and fruit each year.
So even though a mango can grow naturally into a huge tree, it only produces fruit on the new wood. So having a huge tree, you're only getting fruit from the very outer surface of that tree. All the inside is doing nothing. So by cutting back the tree really hard and keeping it small, all that new growth is still producing fruit.
I'll let my landlady know that.
Yeah.
The bigger you let it get, the bigger job it is.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
These are all being planted at the same time, but this is the fruiting cycle.
Because we have a nice location here, a good climate, good soil, we've got people here for aftercare, we've got the inputs, we can actually put everything in at the same time. If you're in a harsher climate or the wrong kind of season, you don't have to put everything in at once. It's actually good to plant these early succession plants, let them grow up so you start to get a bit of a microclimate like we see behind us. There's already, we cut it back yesterday, but you saw before we cut it, it's got a bit of shelter, protection from the wind, the organic matter is already starting to build up and the nutrients. And if you take an expensive, say a grafted citrus tree, and then plant it into that, it'll do better than if you put it into like an open field, a bit more shelter. So there's been almost a dogma, I guess. Like people said, oh, you have to plant it all at once. But the people who've been doing it for a while have come to the realization that in some situations, that's a no. Like it's actually better to do it in waves. And whenever we add a plant to a system, we add it on a disturbance schedule. So what we did yesterday was like a management schedule, so like where we did a disturbance. Now is the time to put in any new plants. Yeah, so you can put in cuttings and you can put in roots and seeds at any time, and they'll come up when they're ready. But if you're going to put in a potted plant, it should be on a management cycle, just like that. Yeah. And the reason for that is everything's in synchrony. So when you have plants that have gone through their growth cycle and then you put in a new plant, they're out of synchrony with what's already there. But when you prune everything back, everything wants to grow together, and it sort of catches the wave and travels through. So yeah, back to these trees here. What's the next one? These are pretty fast, hey?
These
the canistel.
These two both flower quick, and both, because we're talking about seedlings, right? And yeah, so I've got both of these flowering at just 3 years old.
Okay. So we have black sapote.
Yeah.
Has anyone had the chocolate pudding fruit? Yeah, it looks like a persimmon with a green skin, and then it turns black on the inside. You can't eat it off the tree. You have to basically put it on your kitchen bench until it goes a bit squishy, and then you can eat it with a spoon. Yeah. Oh yeah? Which one's that?
I don't know, but it was my neighbour's when I was in Paddington.
Would it have been canistel or lemon cheesecake?
That's the.
Yeah, it's not lemony.
I thought it was a white sapote, but it had a lemon.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Well, this one's a bit lemony. This one here is a Rollinia, which is like a custard apple, but inside it's kind of got like a translucent white flesh, and it's got a very like a tangy lemon meringue pie.
That's soursop too. Like that's pretty.
Yeah.
Good. It's not cheesecake.
Yeah, it sounds good. I like cheesecake. Canistel is really easy to grow. It can be a bit disappointing when you just bite into it and eat it, because it's basically tastes like boiled egg yolk. It has the texture of boiled egg yolk, but tastes sweet. So it's like a bit weird. But if you basically put it into a smoothie or something, like blend it up with like milk or coconut or something like that, then it becomes nice.
I was lucky enough to catch some just perfectly tree ripened, only just dropped on the ground up in Yeppoon when I was last up there, and that's a completely different fruit.
Right.
Like they lose the firmness.
Yeah.
And they're just creamy, yummy, just.
So it's like creamy, like an avocado type.
Yeah, maybe not like.
Not as oily.
More succulent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these could flower from 3 years. Probably these two could flower from about 4 years. That's what I saw up in Yeppoon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about here because they're untested.
This is a longan. So you guys have eaten lychees and longans. Okay, so you know the lychees, like the rough skin red fruit, very, very fragrant. The longan is has sort of more of a musky scent, popular in Thailand and all through Southeast Asia. And then we're actually more hardy than a lychee. So we're going to make our long-term decisions first, because that's what we have to deal with for the next, like, some of these trees will be here for like several generations. So we make sure that they're in the right place. And then as we move down to like shorter term life cycles, it's less consequential if we make a mistake.
We're all just saying that to
Yeah. So roughly in the middle.
We started with our target species and the spacing we wanted, working our way backwards, filled them in with some shorter lived shrubs like guava and citrus and grabbing chama and the azarola cherry, or the Brazilian cherry, sorry. Then we've come and done our banana spacing, which is about every 4 meters. And then we've come and done our native eucalyptus and silky oak and white cedar spacing. Now we're putting cassava either side of our target trees. We're going to stick some mulberry cuttings in. And then we're going to do the seed bombs. And we're basically doing the whole center line so that we can step out of the center line and then start working our way to the edges.
Okay, so that means the roots will grow on that side, away from the plant. So if we do want to harvest the cassava, we pull it up and it doesn't disturb the fruit tree that we have. Whereas this side here, this is where the shoots will come up, and that'll form a nice canopy over the top of the fruit tree, which gives it a like fresh shade. Here's another one. I'm going to push that in on an angle.
And planting on an angle also promotes bushier growth than if you planted it straight up.
It does. So in Papua, when they're planting the cassava, they'll plant it at a really low angle. Push it into the soil like that. And so it actually sends up more shoots this way, and more of the roots come out from the base.
What do you got there, Jasper? Oh,
I've got one big seed cup full of life and nothing else.
just the big ones. The big ones. The big ones. Yeah, so you can get the rest of those big ones. We want all the big ones. Yeah, they're close to the same.
What's this guy?
Black bean.
Oh.
You don't have to have this one. We want to show you.
Nice.
And they come in the nice big pods, right?
Yeah.
The more you have, the better. A little bit of a window. Okay, pull to the side. Okay, we're just basically going to use our finger to make a bit of a real trench, a little bit of a trench like that. We're going to take our seed cup, shake it up, and we'll just on the surface like that. And we'll just use our 2 fingers and just close it. If anything pokes up, just tuck it down. Some seeds like to be a bit more shallow, some like to be a bit more deep. Push that Jaboticaba down into the soil. That's it.
And then you could probably cover the mulch back over.
Yeah, so I think it's a big seed sticking up. And now we don't want to fully cover it over. We want to basically like make a little window. So you just pull the mulch back a bit. So it leaves a slit in the mulch. So there's just enough light for the little seedlings to come up, but it gets side shading and protects it.
Yep. And so that's between every tree that we've already put in. So another one here. Very nice.
I think it's redundancy because like only maybe 2 of them will come up out of 3 or 1 might come up.
Yep.
It's the same principle we talked about before. Better to be cutting them out than wish they were there.
Yeah.
All right, so we've done the tree row in the middle. We've moved out to the outer edges, all our service plants, all our biomass plants on the next. And then on the outer row, because our rotary hoe is 2 meters wide, but I don't want a bed 2 meters wide, we're planting ginger and taro, and then that's going to come out after a year's time, consolidate the bed down. Ginger, taro, ginger, taro. So we're adding some broken down human manure, which is really just pretty much sawdust for this outer row. So we've got a guava. I think that looks like a longan. In there's the banana, native, kumquat, banana. I think that looks like a blueberry maybe. Natives. Canistel, banana, kumquat, natives, jackfruit, banana, guava, natives. That looks like a sapote, banana, Brazilian cherry, natives, avocado, banana, guava, natives, mango, banana, natives. So that's our center row, all planted out with seed bombs in between each fruit tree. Our service row in the middle here is plants like arrowroot, comfrey, lots of ground covers, just to produce biomass and get a ground cover, and we can use that to feed into the system. I think there's even banner grass in there. And the outer row is ginger and taro, which will be harvested after a year. Now, this is not the only way to set up a syntropic system. In fact, if we were to be even more syntropic, all of this biomass, this sugarcane mulch that we imported, we would have harvested from right there next to it. Now there's a few reasons we haven't done that, because the time of year, it's the end of the dry, we just don't have a lot of biomass, and the way we manage this area is more like a lawn, keeping the grass down. We don't have a flail to rake up all the hay anyway, and we only had access to a rotary hoe 2 meters wide. So we've done that. We rotary hoed, imported a little bit of mulch, but as you can see from the system up the back there, it goes really well to initially kickstart the system, and as long as you can get enough plants in there that will produce the biomass in the time that you need, you can then maintain it with the biomass produced in situ, plus the grass as we're mowing it throughout the season. So that's it. That's the step-by-step way to set up a Syntropic system. We had the Permaculture Design Course practical help us implement that. Big ups to everyone involved in that. And if you want to get down with the PDC for 2026, I'll drop a link below where you can register your interest. A permaculture design cohort for 2025 didn't just plant out this system from scratch, right? They got to work on the system in the background that's 1 year old and was planted last year at the PDC. They also got to work on a system like this behind me that's like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old even. We've only been here for 6 years, managing it more syntropically, you might say. It was pretty dismal when we first got here, this swale system. So the practical really focuses on the syntropic food forestry, the production of biomass and food, fiber and medicine that sustains us. But that's only one module of the permaculture design course, like 1 out of 24. There is so much to learn when it comes to permaculture and a permaculture design course. We cover all of that in the 3-month online journey, all the theory. We record it. You have lifetime access to it. You can go back, review it. You're not having to remember everything like if you're doing a 2-week PDC and cramming it all in with information overload. But then when it comes to the prac, this is what we focus on. We really focus on the food systems because that's the base layer. That's the base layer that's going to keep us sustained through all the craziness and uncertain future that's coming. Peace.